Well, hello, this is Jeff Gaudiosi, and you're on misplacedstraws.com, where music comes to life. And my guest today is truly one of the classic voices in rock. Beginning with his band Grand Prix, through his time with Michael Schenker and MSG, Survivor, and as part of Black Swan, who put out one of the best records of the year in 2020, he's been a force in rock for 40 years. He's about to release his second solo record, Standing on the Edge, and he's here to talk about it. Please welcome Robin McAuley. Welcome,
Hello.
Robin.
Hello, Jeff. Thanks for having me. That was a hell of a build-up. How am I going to live up to that?
I think it'll be easy.
Yes, I feel like a misplaced straw.
So the record, Standing on the Edge, it's your first solo record in over 20 years, and you've been really active, but why was the timing never right for a solo project?
Simply because Business as Usual, of the first solo, was never written. It was never meant to be a solo record. It was a collaboration between myself and Survivor guitar player Frankie Sullivan. That was actually, we were put together by John Kolodna over at Geffen Records.
Yep.
And he went, hey, you guys should get together. I think something good would come out of it. So we got together, we wrote a record. And then before you know it, it's like 1994. And, you have all of the bands coming out of Seattle, and you have all of the alternative music going on, and nobody was listening to anything that was on that record. And we tried to give it away. We couldn't give it away. So I got offered to sing with Survivor in '94, which I declined because I went, they don't need to hear me. They need to listen to either Dave Bickler or Jimmy Jamison. Anyway, 6 years on, I end up singing for Survivor for about 5 or 6 years. And then a Japanese label, Big MF label in Japan, heard the tracks, and Frankie says, put it out as a solo record. And so it did. Here we are in 2021, and we dropped the Black Swan record on Valentine's Day in 2020. Suddenly it's March, and the world is going, hey, we need to shut everything down, and you need to stay home, and you need to wear a mask. And we're going, huh? So Frontiers called me, and they said, oh, to keep the momentum, why don't you do a solo record? And I went, I have no interest in doing a solo record. Who would want to listen to a solo record from me? What would I do? So basically they said, well, we just want a Robin McAuley record. You have enough stuff that you've done in your past that people associate you with. So give them a little bit of everything. And that's how it came about. I reached out to a bunch of different people that I love and love working with. And I started to delve into that sort of, where do I go? People want a Grand Prix reunion, then I'll go to get it. So I'll hit up my old keyboard player for Grand Prix when I was with Uriah Heep. So we'll make a connection that way. And then I'll talk to Howard Leese, because I work with Howard 5 nights a week on the Vegas show for the last 7 years with 1,500 shows or something. So I'll call Howard and say, give me a Bad Company song, because you're Paul Rogers, musical director. And then I'm talking to Tony Franklin and get a couple of tunes from Tony, and Tony goes, call Tommy Denander in Sweden, and I'm going, Tommy doesn't want to work with me. He works with gods. He doesn't need to work with me. But of course, Tommy worked with Jimmy Jamison from Survivor. Oh, there's my connection. So now I get a little Grand Prix, a little. I mean, I never worked with Bad Company, but I work with Howard. And I get some of Tommy Denander, a little taste of Survivor, and then Alessandro Del Vecchio, who's Frontiers guy. We discuss how I'm going to do this, and he goes, I'll send you some songs, and I'll recommend some musicians that I use on a lot of the projects here. And if you like it, then we'll go with it. So he sent me maybe a dozen songs. And so I have like 15, 20 songs now to pick from. And I locked it down to the 11 required. And he sent some rough demos. I did some rough vocals. I wrote all the lyrics and all the melodies, and then we just needed to find a studio at that time, to record vocals. And that's how we did it. He's in Italy, I'm here. So it was kind of weird. It was just me and the studio engineer, Andy Zuckerman, who recorded all my vocals. And we'd send them back to Alessandro. He didn't make any changes. And he'd send me some rough mixes. I'd make my changes here. And suddenly we have Standing on the Edge, great artwork. And I couldn't be happier for something I didn't want to do.
And yeah, Alessandro is amazing. He's done so much great work over the years.
He doesn't sleep, you know that.
Was it weird not being with him, not being in the same room as you guys were putting these songs together, doing it all remotely? Was that just a strange concept?
Yeah. When we were talking, he was going, we won't be able to share the love and the hugs because I won't be in the same room. Yeah. And I went, I don't want to hug you anyway. Yeah, but seriously. So he said, what we will do, when you lock in your studio time, I'll zoom in and I'll work with you that way. So when we found Andy's studio, Andy only had like a Tuesday and a Thursday available at 7:00 in the evening. And if Alessandro's in Italy, now it's 4:00 in the morning, 4 a.m. And I'm thinking, I'm not talking to you at 4 a.m. in the morning. So I had my blueprint. I had my lyrics, I had my melodies all done for all of the songs. And Alessandro had heard them. And so I just went about my business. I would show up at 7 p.m. and Andy would tell me, he goes, dude, if you need more than 2 hours, we're not going to get it, And I said, you're absolutely right. And so I came in with my blueprint, and I was usually out of there by 8:30. Song done, recorded, backing vocals done. Send them through the universe to Italy. Alessandro heard them, and he goes, "This is great. This is great. I hear no changes. I'll send you some rough mixes." And so, you don't need to be in the same room. I mean, it's better, to get that sort of that connection. But we got it done. And I'm really happy with the output. He put amazing musicians together. Guitar player Andrea Cerveso is just killer. I struck gold with him. Nicholas Papapico on drums, Papapico, excuse me. And it sounds great. It's got a modern feel to it, and yet it's what the label wanted. They wanted, a classic rock record, and I don't know how to do anything else anyway. So.
As far as your songs, the lyrics you put together and even the stuff you've done with Phil and Howard and Tommy, was that all brand new stuff, or did you have any songs kind of sitting in the bank?
Everything was custom written for the record. Yeah, it was. I didn't give them any direction. I just wanted to see what would come in, and then I wanted enough material to go. It's so disjointed. Or there's a cohesiveness to it. Certainly not conceptual. I had no interest. I had no interest in that. That said, the label also gave me the opportunity to give them some ideas about the kind of cover artwork that I'd like, and I said, absolutely and most definitely not a photo. I do not want my face on the record. I have no interest in that sort of stuff. Considering the fact that I didn't want to do a solo record anyway. Right? What a contradiction in terms that would be. So I think the lyrics and the melody came together for Standing on the Edge first. I think that was the first one that I worked on. I was kind of really happy with that one. And then immediately I started thinking, there's the artwork. There it is. That's it for me. And I started thinking, with what's going on in the world, how would Gargoyles see this if they were sitting? How would the gods see this if they were up there looking down and they would think, what a mess, what a mess, what a mess. Yeah. And then I started taking it from there all the way through, and I tried to create a balance that would be something like reading a book, a beginning, a middle, and an end. And if you listen to it in its entirety and you get the last track running out of time, my question kind of was, first song, Standing on the Edge, single, that is, Thy Will Be Done, is the opening, and you're running out of time, and it's like question and the answer. Here's a chance to make a change, and at the end you're running out. Did you get it done?
Yeah.
Did you get it done? And how well did you do it? It's like a mom talking to their son. Here's your task for the day. Here's your task. Let me know how it goes. And you have 12 hours to do it in.
You have 12 songs to finish
12 songs to do it in.
Yeah.
And let's see how that works out. And that's kind of where I went with it.
Yeah.
And I took it on a little journey, and I hope people like it. And I hope they get the idea,
It's a really strong record. I've been listening to it a lot since I was able to get a copy, and your voice is as strong as ever. And
thank you.
After all this time, how do you keep your voice? I mean, you sound just as good on this record as you did back on the MSG stuff in the early 90s. There's no difference, and you're still hitting the notes and you're still sounding strong.
I just don't talk to anybody. On a serious note, working the Vegas show for the last 7 years, I have like 1,500 shows just with that show.
You there?
Okay,
there you go.
Where did you go?
Yeah, I'm losing you. I got your. There you go. You're back.
Oh, there you are. Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
With 1,500 shows, singing 5 nights a week, you start to develop. You develop a strength, a technique. Vegas is not an easy place to sing. Dust, very dry, and then you have a show every night, and you're supposed to be. You have a different audience.
Yeah.
And it's Vegas. It's the entertainment capital. They go, give me a show. You don't need excuses. Don't give me an excuse you can't do the show. And people get sick. We don't have volume on our vocal cords like guitar players or whatever. So you develop a strength and a technique that works for you, and you carry that. So I had plenty of training leading up to it. I take great care of my voice. It's my instrument. It's my responsibility to do that, and I take that very seriously. Not everybody likes how I sing, but that's okay. That's why we're all different. I would hate everybody to sound the same. Then there's no variable. So that's all I do. I take care of my business, and I pray to the gods that when it's time to step up to the mic, that I can deliver. And I'm Irish, and I'm really stubborn. And if I go to a concert, I'm really disappointed if somebody doesn't deliver. And I'm really disappointed if I'm waiting for that part of the song, really waiting, and I don't get it. I'm going, cheap shot.
Yeah.
And I get really disappointed, and that's how I am. And so all of those things I take with me up onto the stage, and there's an element of dignity. I would hate people going, this guy really should stop singing, and I'll hear it. I hear everything. When I hear that,
that's it.
Exit stage left.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and looking back through your career a bit, I mean, you've spent a lot of time playing with Michael Schenker, and arguably had your biggest successes with him in the early '90s, and again more recently with Schenker Fest. And Michael's an enigma. What's it like collaborating and working with him as closely as you have over the years?
I know there are different perceptions of Michael throughout his career, because he's been like this. Yeah. When it comes to songwriting, he is a lot more open than people would ever think. We used to have this fun thing going on that, one of the things that always attracted me, even though I refused to join him a couple of times. We used to be stablemates, so we were on the same label when he was on Chrysalis. I was there with my band Grand Prix, and was his quality of playing. Michael will always say, has to come from here.
Yes.
It's very important. You can be all this fast player and nothing from here. And that's where he plays from. He plays from his heart and soul, and you can hear it. His deep sense of melody. When he's gone through all of this stuff, that's just blinding work on the fretboard, and then these melodies come out, and you're going, "That's what I like. That's who Michael Schenker is for me," and it's an absolute treat for a singer, you know. So, and some guitar players will just sing, and you're just like, where do I sing? Because you don't. It's empty. It's just empty. With Michael, it's quite the opposite, and he is he knows what he wants. Especially now, he's very, very, very focused. I think he plays better now than he ever did, and that's a statement. That's a statement because he always played great. And he had his ups and downs and blah, blah, blah. In fact, one night on the Schenker Fest, he spoke to the whole band. We were just chatting backstage, and he said, "No, I think I needed to do all of that stuff, good, better, and different, to put me where I am now. I needed to make those mistakes. I needed to go down that rat hole. And fortunately, I came out of it on the other end, and I'm better for it. And I wouldn't be the person I am because of it. And isn't that life?
Yeah, pretty much.
Isn't that how we sort of meander through the woods? You know, some of us just never find our way. And so I feel particularly lucky. Absolutely. I'm always grateful, always thankful, never take anything for granted because, you know, there by the grace of God, we can tell the story. So, yep, great time.
And as we mentioned, you know, last year you had the Black Swan record, and I'm not alone in thinking that was just one of the greatest records of the year, if not the past 5 or 10 years.
My favorite record of all time. Best thing I have ever done. I mean, we talk about Schenker and everything, and I will never put that to back burner. But for me, as a vocalist and performing, it even floored me.
But what was it about the four of you? Because I mean, it really is a band with, you know, Jeff Pilson, Reb Beach, and Matt Starr. You guys just seamlessly came together on these songs. What was it about these songs or the people that all came together?
When Jeff called me and he gave me the idea, and he goes, "Reb really wants to do this, and I won't be playing bass. I'll be like producing, and I'll probably get involved with the writing." And Reb and I went, "No, you won't. No, you won't." And a funny story. So they got together, which is very typical. We're 6 songs into the new Black Swan, by the way. Just
nice. That was going to be the next question.
Right. And so a funny story was, so they got together. They started shredding in the wood shop, and they sent me a bunch of tracks. First track, I come back, and Reb's at Jeff's studio, and we're chewing the fat, and he goes, "So you got anything?" And I said, "Yep. So this is what I have for this song." And we started playing what turned out to be Big Disaster. And how we do it is we get together, and, you know, we had a 1-minute discussion of what the label was looking for. And Jeff says, "Classic rock record." And we went, and we never discussed it after that. We never once discussed it. We just went, you know, whatever, you know. And it just kept coming. And I said to Jeff, "I'm never going to come back with what you think I'm going to come back. It's never going to be the obvious, you know." And so I started singing down this idea, and I hit the chorus, and it was Big Disaster, right? And Reb stops, and he going, "Really? We have never worked together before, and you get an idea, and you come in here, and you go, 'Yeah, dude, here's the first track. It's called Big Disaster.'" And that is a true story. And I went, "Oh, you're right. You're right. Of course, I wasn't thinking." And he goes, "Oh, they'll kill us, man. Are you kidding?" And I think that was it. We just went. That's exactly what we just went. Let's just do this. And what we got was a great record. Great record. Pilson is on fire. He's on 12 all the time. His energy is unsurpassed. It's just, you can't help but just get energized with the whole thing. And we had so much fun. I'm surprised we actually manage to record anything. Because we just
Well, yeah, I've had the pleasure of talking to both Jeff and Reb about that record, so it's great hearing your perspective on it as well.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Reb goes, just throw, hey, you could sing anything. You know, it's probably a bunch of old winger riffs that Kip didn't want to use. And I went, fuck that guy. Yeah, actually, I think Kip was responsible for the name.
Mhm.
I think it came from him. We came up with some names that were
Yeah.
dreadful names, right? And then I think Reb said, yeah, I was talking to Kip, and he goes, well, why didn't you just call it Black Swan? And Jeff and I went,
Okay.
that's a great name. And of course, the environment and the time, because of what Black Swan actually means on the big scope of things, you know, when you put it up on the board. And I'm going, oh, dude, it's like perfect. People will never get that, but we get it.
Yeah.
You know? And of course, then we have this. I love the artwork, but people are going,
it's beautiful.
It's not a Black Swan. Like, yes, it is. You don't see the Black Swan. Yeah, and Jeff says, how do you put a black swan on a black t-shirt? Our slogan actually was, no BS in Black Swan.
I like it. Well, we've been spending some time here with the one and only Robin McAuley.
Thank you
His
so much.
solo record is called Standing on the Edge. It's out everywhere May 7th. I highly recommend it. You're on fire. You sound amazing. The band is killer. So thank you so much. Best of luck with the record. And
thank you, Jeff, for having me. Awesome.
We can catch you on tour with one of your projects coming up soon.
Please. And remember, May 7th, Standing on the Edge.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Robin.
God bless. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
Bye-bye.